Hey guys, we're going to be going back to Shenmon, this time level 99 for a cheaper clear where we don't rely on anything like an OTK. I'm going to go through and show you the basics of how to just handle the fight going nice and slow. That way you can take as long as you need to clear the fight using any DPS you want as long as they're of the proper element. So we're going to be using Olivera to basically be our solo DPS. You can use water, ice, or dark. My favorite solo DPS unit is Roberta, but I've used her in quite a few other videos. Also, a lot of people don't have her. Olivera is available in the class shop right now, so anyone at this point should have an EX1 Olivera if you choose to pick him. Then again, he isn't the best pick in the shop, but he is, quote-unquote, a free unit at this point. The rest of the party is Ling, who was free last season, Shira, who can be replaced by any Entruster you want. I just like Shira. Kresnik was also in the class shop last month. I really hope everyone got Kresnik because, best unit in the game, or one of them. Snow can be any multi-tank you have. So, for example, you could either Omni cover it with like Esther or Chow. You can do dual tanking with Snow or Maeve, or technically speaking, you don't really need physical cover. It just makes it a lot easier, and we're going to be doing that. And then General Celeste is going to be for the huge magical mitigation. Now, there's no direct replacement for General Celeste because hers can be used infinite times. Like Shadow Lord is amazing for a short duration clear. If you can kill the boss before Shadow Lord's Magnus has run out, that's great. But for a slower clear, we want someone like Celeste that can infinitely use her her big mitigation for magic. Let's get in here and do it. We have no modifiers on. This is level 99 slow clear. And I'll show the gear and the team and all that. And there's not really a rotation, so there's not going to be a turn chart because the way we're doing it, we kind of just go at, we just fly by the seat of our pants, so to speak. So we'll just go based on the boss's rotation. So real quickly, the boss's rotation is a repeating 3-turn rotation. It's going to be 1 turn of that unprovocable magic stuff and a couple AoE physicals. Turn 2 is going to be lots of AoE magic that can be covered, as well as a few physicals. And then turn 3 is going to be a lot of physical attacks. And then the rotation repeats. So you always want like 1 or 2 Mirage stacks on turns 1 and 3, or sorry, 1 and 2, and then preferably a physical cover on turn 3, or lots of Mirage. Anyway, so we're going to use Olivera, not yet. We're going to use Ling to start in the shift, go to the base form. We'll just fill morale. We'll use her to break the boss, and we'll do a stat buff. Shira can just entrust over to Snow for the moment to get him ready for later. But we don't actually need his big mitigation yet. So we're going to physical cover and physical mitigate with him. Kresnik will Arcane Stimulant. General Celeste is going to go to the base form. Now, if your Celeste is only EX1 or EX0, you could have entrusted General Celeste with Shira instead, and that will get Celeste's LB. I should have actually guarded Shira to simulate that. Oh well. So we're going to go ahead and use Celeste's LB in the base form, and we start her in the shift form. That way she doesn't auto-cover magic. We don't want her to interfere with covering. Now we have 80% general and 80% magical mitt, and I think dragon mitt as well. Maybe it's just aqua. Could be dragon too. Yeah, just aqua. Okay, so just 80% magic and general mitt. So these unprovocable attacks will not hit very hard. That being said, 2 of them are going to hit Olivera, but he's going to survive it. But just make sure that your DPS units can survive them. So we're going to go ahead and rehearsal for the immunity buff, inspiring for the amplify, crescendo for the morale fill, and then symphonic harmony. You got to deal ice, water, or dark damage. Now the boss does have Mirage. If we were using physical units, that would have been a problem. We would have had to deal with it. But we're using magic, which doesn't really care about Mirage. So there's the Simon Says. It says do nothing. This party doesn't really care about mana drain, so we're never going to obey the Simon Says. Sometimes the boss will say do nothing, in which case, who cares? Other times the boss will say, like, guard someone. We're not gonna listen. We'll just take the mana drain. This team doesn't care. So as you saw, Olivera got hit twice, but with the double 80% mitigation, whatever. Olivera has very low spirit. I didn't gear him for spirit. 1300 with a buff. His unbuffed spirit is like 700. So yeah, as long as you've got General Celeste in the party, you don't really got to care about that cruel phase stuff. Anyway, so this is the magic turn. So we're gonna shift Snow for the magic turn. This is why I wanted the dual tank. And we're going to cover magic, and now we're going to use Heroic Guard for 90% mitigation. I can promise you, this is massively overkill. You do not need 90% mitigation. 75 would have been totally fine. Snow's going to probably take single-digit damage, but I like showing you the most optimal way to do things in a guide. So if you have the 90%, use it. Kresnik is going to go ahead and do Arcane Antioxidant. That cures the Imperils and gives us a resist buff that'll infinitely repeat for the rest of the fight. Well, until he dies. Lang will go to the Shift form. Now, there is going to be some AoE physical this turn. Now, you could bulk up and survive it. Obviously, 3-star Shira is not going to survive it. So we're going to just Mirage it. We're going to use Lang in the Shift form to Blithe. We're going to Celestial Dance for a 5-stack Mirage. And we don't really need anything else. We'll just go ahead and use Moving Dance just for morale fill. We're going to use General Celeste to go to the Shift form. And she's going to do a Magic Mitigation. We don't have Magic Mitigation yet, so we're going to use Shelga. And we're going to use Dragon Killer. And we're going to use Opera to think of her lover just for more LB fill. Now we're going to use Olivera's Shifted LB, which is a tag chain. So there we go. Nice little chunk of damage. The boss still has his mitigation. That's going to be there for 3 turns. So until turn 4, we're not really dealing much damage. Also, the morale gauge is pretty low right now. Let's go ahead and trust Olivera. So here comes the AoE magic. Snow is going to cover it. And then a few AoE physicals. We're going to mirage them. And the damage on Snow is going to be... yeah. So I used 90% mitigation, and most of the attacks are doing single digits. So you don't have to have a tank as bulky as Snow with no modifiers on. I just picked him because that's probably the only time we're going to use Snow is in budget guides. Alright, so this turn, we're going to go ahead and use Ling to do her Shifted LB. That's because it's a 200% LB damage buff, which is going to help Olivera a little bit. This is turn 3. Turn 3 is a physical turn, so we're going back to the base form. Let's go ahead, whoop, not that. Let's go ahead and put up physical cover in the base form and physical mitigation. We'll use Kresnik's Shifted LB just to fill LB gauge for the rest of the fight. General Celeste can use her Shifted LB for... no, we don't actually need that. Let's go to the base form of General Celeste. Nope, I lied to you. Let's stay in the shift form for the moment. We're going to just go ahead and use Olivera's Shifted LB again. After we do that, we're going to entrust to Olivera with Shira, and we'll just use Celeste to triple Opera to her lover, or whatever it's called. That will refill a little bit of LB gauge for Ling. So okay, so now the boss's mitigation has gone. For the rest of the fight, no mitigation on the boss. The boss said use an LB for the Simon Says thing. We're going to be using an LB just because. So, we're not going to take the mana drain yet again, which is convenient, but not super important either way. Anyway, you saw that turn was all physical damage, and Snow covered it all. Now turn 4, the rotation repeats itself. We're back to the first turn of the rotation, which is going to be the cruel phase that ignore cover. So we need, whoops, not that. We need base form LB of General Celeste to take care of the cruel Fae. We're already physical covering with Snow, so we will just go ahead and do, let's go ahead and do Heroic Guard again this turn. We're already physical covering. Let's see, Shira can... oh, turn 4. We need to break the boss again. Now, I'm going to be using Earthbreaker, which is a equipable breaker. If you've got one of them, either Tulian, Axstar Return, Reagan Return, Edge, one of their TMRs. This gives you an 85% break, because as you notice, the 85 break from Ling only has 3 turns of uptime, 1 turn of downtime. If you don't have any of those, you could use Enthrall for an 80% break, but obviously 85 is better than 80, so we're going to use that. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and just do the tag LB of Olivera again. And once the morale gauge is filled up, by the way, we'll start using Olivera's actually morale skills in the base form, because his shift form doesn't actually use morale scaling, so the damage is a little bit low. It'll be a lot better in the base form, but we're still building the morale gauge pretty slowly, but we're getting there. Let's go ahead and entrust to Olivera again, and let's have Kresnik do Potion, Remedy, and Antioxidant. I don't think we needed Antioxidant that turn, but whatever. If you needed more mana, Kresnik could have done the mana refill instead. Just triple potion. Here's the Cruel Fae. Now that the morale is lower, that's doing a lot less damage. So there we go. And here's some physical attacks. This is why we like using a physical cover tank some turns. Okay, so at this point, the morale gauge is decently high, so we're going to go to the base form of Olivera and try to use his base form LB. This is a morale scaling LB. Now, it's not full power yet, but it's going to be there eventually. This is not a tag chain, though. So we're going to use General Celeste to Irene's Ring and Darkga from an Esper and chain with our quad Chaos Wave Awakened framing Olivera. That was a mouthful. Let's go ahead and do this. So this is the magic damage turn unless we push the threshold. If we push the threshold, it's not going to be the magic. Okay, we didn't push the threshold, meaning this is a magic damage turn. That's okay, we'll push the threshold next turn. So let's go ahead and cover magic, and we'll do magic mitigation with snow. Remember we did the 90% mitigation last turn. Let's go ahead and entrust Olivera again, just so it's ready. Let's have Ling go back to the shift form. So this is the magic cover turn. So we need Mirage. So we'll Blithe, we'll Refreshing Twirl, and we will Dance of Ferocity. Now, something to keep in mind. It is possible for the boss to use 3 physical AoEs on the magic turn. It's very rare, but it can happen. If it does happen, we might lose our Shira. So we're going to re-raise Shira just in case poor Shira takes one for the team. And then we're going to Antioxidant to cure the Imperils this turn. But the boss probably won't do 3 AoE physicals. Then again, because I said that, he's going to do 3 of them. So here we go. So let's see what happens here. Use an LB, not a problem. Here's the magic damage and then some AoE physicals. We've got 2-stack Mirage at the moment. How many is he doing? Looks like 1. He only did 1 that turn. Yeah, he does. He rarely does more than 1 or 2 on the on those turns. All right, let's see here. Does our Olivera have boost LB damage? He does for 4 turns. Okay, so let's go ahead and just use the LB again. Oh, his Amplify wore off. So his Amplify did wear off, but the boss is basically going to be threshold push this turn anyway. So that's okay. We're going to go ahead and push that threshold right now. We can actually also do the attack and magic buff. Yeah, Olivera's base form is magic scaling. So let's go ahead and push that threshold. We'll start up phase 2. Okay, so we're all going to die. So Kresnik will just go ahead and AoE re-raise everyone with Medicinal Mastery. Other than that, we'll just potion twice for morale gain. Ling can just do a bunch of morale gain. We'll Blithe and Dance of Ferocity twice. We're going to all die here. Snow can go to the base form. And we'll ATB charge to fill his LB. It's already full. Shira, who needs LB? We'll go ahead and entrust LB to Olivera. Okay, so this is turn 6. This is the physical damage turn. Because the threshold is pushed, the threshold interrupts the boss's normal rotation. So this is going to be a threshold turn. Then next turn, he is going to resume his rotation exactly where it left off. It left off on physical turn. This is going to be the turn 3 of the rotation, which is the physical turn. So physical damage on this turn. Also, the boss has undispellable buffs for 2 turns. and all his breaks were dispelled. So Ling is going to, we'll go ahead and Blythe to get that morale filled back up. Let's Disarming to break the boss, and we'll just Ferocity to get our, what's it called? To get our morale filled back up. Kresnik can't shift, unfortunately, so we'll just use him to Remedy, Potion, and we're going to Supplement to get a stat buff. Snow is going to, we're going to 90% mit, and we're going to cover. We don't actually have physical mitigation this turn. Actually, we can get it with General Celeste, so this will be fine. So General Celeste will go ahead and give Shelga, Protectka, and we can't do the killer buff just yet. That's okay. So we'll go ahead and do Opera to think of her lover. First of all, let's use, what's this guy's name? Olivera, to put up his buffs again. We're going to go ahead and Musical Magic, which is a big amplify, Gifted with Talent, Inspiring Finale, and we'll use Perfect Melody to hit the boss with dark damage. You always want to hit the boss with elemental damage, the proper element. And then Shira, No One to Entrust. We'll go ahead and entrust up here to Snow. So the boss does have his buffs, and we don't have any physical mitigation at all, so it's going to be a chunk of damage. This might hurt a little bit on Snow, maybe. There's the mana drain as well. Okay, not really on Snow. Snow's pretty good with his 90% mit. So that's 90 general, 0 physical mit. Because I was kind of strapped for actions that turn. I should have used physical mit on Ling. I didn't think of it. My bad. Well, we didn't really need it. We did get mana drain though, and I gave Shira the Galbana Lilies, so even after mana drains, he will always get a guaranteed 20 MP, and Entrust only cost 18 MP, so even fully mana drain, Shira can always Entrust. Alright, so this is turn 8. Turn 8 is the, remember, it's +1 turn card to the threshold, so this is the Cruel Fey turn. So to the base form with Celeste for the big general and magic mit. We do need to, nope, stay in the base form, my bad, not yet, base form. So this is still a physical turn. So we're going to Spirit of Chaos, and we'll go ahead and Heroic Guard again just to refresh, because he does have a full LB gauge. What else are we doing this turn? Kresnik we did lose a bunch of mana, so we'll go ahead and just Potion. We need the Antioxidant for the Imperils, and, oh, we're not imperiled yet, actually. So we're going to just Potion, and Supplement. Ling will go to the Shift form this turn. And we'll do Blythe. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do her Shifted LB. That's a Mirage as well as an LB damage boost. Olivera, because no one with the tag with him, we'll just go ahead and go to the Shift form and do Shifted LB. Stat buffs don't matter in the Shift form, so there's no point in doing the attack and magic buff. But you know what we can do is the accuracy buff just to gain morale. And we can entrust over to Olivera again. Alright, so here is the Cruel Fate turn, or the Cruel Fey turn. The boss does have a big magic buff, so it's going to hurt a little bit, but the boss does have low morale, so not a problem. Totally fine. Totally fine. Okay, so one more turn of the boss's mitigation, and then we should be doing nice damage. Alright, let's go to the base form with Olivera, where we can use his, what is it called? Where we can use his good chaining. We'll use Quad Dartga with you. How are the boss's breaks looking? 2 more turns on breaks, okay, so we'll go to the base form with Ling. We did Mirage last turn, so we don't really need it this turn. Our morale is pretty good, so we'll do this, and let's do... You know, let's just go ahead and Earthbreaker again. Let's have Kresnik. Kresnik can actually shift, so we're going to go ahead and shift this turn and do Arcane Stimulant to... No, actually we're going to do Arcane Antioxidant to cure those imperils and get that resist buff going. We need to cover magic with this turn with Snow, so shift him and cover magic, and we'll do magic mitigation as well. Okay, we're in the base form of Olivera now, so now we're going to do a Resounding Will, because this base form does use MP. Let's go ahead and chain this up. The morale gauge is mostly full at this point, so this should help out quite a bit. And next turn, the boss loses his mitigation, so next turn's almost certainly going to be a kill. And that'll be our 10-turn clear budget mode. So here is the... oh, mana drain again? Not a problem. Not a problem. So here's the magic stuff, and then some physical AoEs. We've still got 5-stack Mirage from the previous round. So there's 1, there's 2. He did a double AoE physical that turn. Okay. So just in case we weren't going to kill the boss, now it's the 3rd turn of the rotation. So back to the base form where we're going to 90 mit and physical cover. But we're going to kill the boss right here, as I already know, just in case. Let's go ahead and do Resounding Will. If we didn't kill the boss, Kresnik would Arcane Stimulant this turn just to get the morale fill going for the rest of the fight, because all his autocast got canceled when he died on the threshold. Ling could just basically do whatever. We could Blithe. We could heal with Refreshing Twirl to get Snow topped up. We could just, Dance of Ferocity just to fill some mana for the party and all that. And there we go. So we can go ahead and chain these 2 up. And then we could entrust over to Olivera to do it again. And that should be the end of the boss budget mode with Olivera carrying the party. Okay, yeah. Pretty simple. Kind of slow, but I intentionally wanted to do a slow clear to explain turn by turn, phase by phase, ways to deal with it. But yeah, that 3-turn rotation just repeats infinitely forever. Just remember, it's +1 turn after the threshold. So, there you go. We actually maxed out the morale score. And as you can see, Olivera did all the damage. So no modifiers. We're not going for score. That was just a guide video. Don't want any of this. Unfortunately, my pearls have been missing me. I will be going for a quick farm team as my next project. Anyway, here's the party. I think I kind of went over the swaps in the beginning of the video. If you don't have Olivera, he is the best unit in the game, so that's a little bit unfortunate. But you can replace him with any, water, ice, or dark unit. Either one that can be imbued or one that's naturally, like, Sephiroth, Dark Rain are great options. As you saw, the damage we take with General Celeste is exceptionally minimal. So, and you don't need any kind of evasion or really any bulk at all for the most part, as long as you're not, like, naked or something. Even our 3-star Shira never ever died or took damage during this fight. That is, of course, because Shira doesn't qualify for any of the stat checks. Now, if he took a Cruel Fey, things might change. Anyway, so we use Snow because he can swap between physical and magical on demand. He does have a 1-turn cooldown on swapping back into Brave Shifting, but thankfully the fight is 2-turn physical, 1-turn magic, and then repeating. Therefore, Snow's stupid Brave Shift cooldown doesn't really have a problem. So you saw my Snow. I was taking like single-digit damage most turns. I really overgeared him. I should have really not geared him this well. You don't need this well of gear. But here's the gear we used. So base form, just some physical bulk. Shift form, some magical bulk. There we go, pretty cheap gear. I did toss an STMR or so on the party, nothing premium though. So there we go. And he does have passive provoke from the diadem. I'm assuming by this point most people have the Dancer's diadem. It is, in my opinion, the best of the hats from that season. If you don't have the Dancer's diadem, then give him passive provoke from gear. For example, Moogle Charms. Like Moogle Charm, and then you could do like the Commando Shield, and you could do what's that? Danger gets the blood pumping. There you go. Passive provoke. His stats barely changed. There you go. So just passive provoke, and you're fine. He doesn't need any evasion. Evasion, not important. Kresnik, really just whatever. Literally whatever. I gave him. I tried to gear. I tried to gear him for high MP to soak the MP Cruel Fey. I forgot that I was using Olivera. Yeah, no one's going to be higher than Olivera's 10,000 MP. So, whoopsie. Gearing for MP was kind of pointless. Anyway, High Spirit. I gave him the Obsidian Bracer, but we broke on turn 1 anyway, so whatever. Just his stats are just, whatever. Shira is just using Galbana Lilies. That way, even if he gets mana drain to 0, he can always entrust. Paintbrush, Call of the Wild, usual stuff. As long as he's got 10 LB per turn, the rest of his gear really doesn't matter. 10 LB per turn and a copy of Lilies. Also, if you don't have Shira, any of the low tier entrusters are fine. So 4-star Galoof, Beach Time, Fina, Orin, all of these can work fine. Olivera in the base form is a magic damage dealer. So he uses traditional magic in the base form. So here is the gear. We geared for LB damage versus dragons and fairies. Nothing premium. I did use 1 or 2 STMRs though. Maxed LB damage, 250 fairy, 0 dragon killer. Yeah, he is horrible for killers, which is why I always make fun of him. He just can't gear for killers, period. Even if you whale him out, this dude still cannot gear for killers, and it's really unfortunate. But there was the build we used. I mean, for a budget run, it's good enough. Shift form scales on MP, so here we go. And now he did absorb 2 of the what are they called? The cruel phase, because during the battle, even the shift form was the highest magic in the party, also the highest MP. He took 2 of them. I geared him all in for killers. It still didn't matter because his damage is pretty bad. Maxed LB, 275 fairy, 150 dragon, and yeah, there it is. General Celeste in the base form, Irene's ring, and she's on the Anima Esper, and Anima has Darkga learned for Chaos Wave Awakened chaining to support with our Olivera. Other than that, Spirit, LB fill, a lot of mood makers to get that LB good to go again. We always have Entrust available if we need to. If the choice one turn is, let's say your General Celeste did not fill her LB in time, and the choice on the Cruel Fae turn is like entrusting Olivera for more damage, or entrusting General Celeste so that you can get that big mitigation up. Always, always, always prioritize Celeste, even if it nerfs your damage that turn. If her LB is not ready to go. Always got to do her LB on the Cruel Fae turns for that big mitigation. Other than that, literally whatever. Shift form, geared identical. And then Ling is just geared for Spirit and HP, whatever. Now, I gave her a copy of Earthbreaker. If you don't have Earthbreaker, you could also use like Numbing Thunderbird or Lightbreaker. These work as well. If you have none of them, just use her Enthrall to break. It'll slow your DPS. Not that big a deal. Shift form, geared identical. And I gave her that card for auto LB. And that's it. There's the budget run. Swap out the units and gear as needed. Hopefully I've covered all the mechanics. And as far as Omni cover goes, if you're using Chow, just keep his Omni cover up 24/7. If you're using Esther, just rotate her between shift form and base form. That way you can use her base form LB to refresh the Omni cover. That way it's always available. Anyway, good luck to the rest of you. See you next time.